Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday the 25th of April, 2016. This is episode 176, 50%. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. How was your week? Mine was, there were a lot of really good things and a lot of really, really bad things, and I don't want to talk about the bad things. So we went to the park, and that was fun. We went down by the river at the park. Gabriel wore tennis shoes, though, and not sandals, so he couldn't play in the water, and that was sad for him. Mara wore winter boots because that is her go-to outfit. She is kind of like my spirit animal. If I were like 6 feet tall and skinny, I would dress the way that Mara dresses because she's like proportionally that size. And her go-to outfit right now is like skinny jeans with winter boots. So grown-up version would be like combat boots. And she either wears a long sleeve shirt that's purple with a butterfly on it, or a pink short sleeve shirt that has stuff about music on it. So I would dress like Mara if I were taller and thinner. But that sort of outfit doesn't really work with my body type, so I don't. What else? Gabriel got in trouble on Friday and was grounded from hanging out with his friends all weekend because they went into our garage. He and two other little boys from the street went into our garage, and Steve found them playing with hammers and hatchets, which is obviously not allowed for safety reasons, so they were all grounded from each other this weekend, or at least Gabriel was grounded from them. I don't know if the other boys played or whatever, but anyway, on to knitting, shall we? The Small Things Knit Along kicks off, I think, before next podcast records. Yes. Saturday, maybe? I don't know. On the 1st of May, it kicks off. And the rules are now in the thread, and also in addition to the prizes that I'm offering, which the list is not a complete list right now because I will add things as I determine that they're eligible. But in addition to things that I am offering, we have 2 other people who watch the podcast who have offered prizes. So thank you, Allison and Shelly. Super appreciate that. Go check out what they're offering in the thread. And yeah, that's really exciting. And get ready to start making all sorts of things and finishing all sorts of things. Works in progress are acceptable. Modular projects, each piece counts. But yeah, all of that is pretty detailed in the thread itself. If you have any questions, feel free to post, and I will try to be good about reading that thread at least every other day. I'm pretty good about every other day, not necessarily every day. I have one finished object, which I don't have with me, but I have pictures. I finished the Mystic Spiral, which is a pattern by Josh Ricks. I knit those socks using Stray Cat Socks, Electric Avenue, and US size 1 2.25 millimeter needles. It is a very, very cool pattern, very potato chippy, because the whole sock is broken down into mini sections. Socks for me are pretty potato chippy anyway, because it's like cuff, leg, heel, foot, toe, or, toe to cuff, whatever. Either way, it's got those little mini breaking points. And then if you're doing like a gusset, then it's the gusset break and that sort of thing. But anyway, they're pretty potato chippy because they have those set things that once you finish that part of the sock is finished. But the Mystic Spiral has additional little checkpoints. So it's really, really fun pattern. I've made it 5-ish times now. And if I repeat a pattern, I really like it because that doesn't happen very frequently. It's kind of a vanilla sock. Like it's pretty mindless once you understand the construction. And it's a lot of stockinette. So yeah, it's really enjoyable. I would recommend it if you're looking for something that is basic but not too basic. It does have short rows, but they're really well explained. Don't be afraid of the short rows. And it turns out really cool in self-striping yarn and also in variegated. I don't know how it would look in a solid. Probably okay, but not as exciting as striping or variegated. I wonder how it would look in speckled. I don't know, these are things to think about later. So works in progress. I did not work on anything on Friday or Saturday, and I only worked a little bit on things yesterday, so things do not have as much progress as I would like them to have today. Here are the Josie Socks by Jenna Meyer, and look at that. That is not my requisite 14 rounds in a week. That is maybe 8 rounds. It's not very good, but they're growing, and I finished the first pattern repeat. I said I was going to do 2 pattern repeats up the leg. The first is finished. I have started the second. Mostly this one didn't get the second worked on because I was not crafting in front of my computer. I was crafting in my bedroom. And I didn't have the pattern for this on my laptop in my bedroom. And I don't have it through Ravelry. I have it through the file that she sent me to test knit, which was only on this computer. And I could have probably searched in my email and found it, but I was like, oh, lazy, I'll work on other things instead. So this didn't get the amount of work that it should have. But yeah, I'm on the last pattern repeat, so the end is near-ish. Okay, I have a question though. Should I finish these before Stash Dash starts? Because that is the question. That starts May 27th, I want to say. And I always want to take part in Stash Dash, and then I never do. But I could. I probably won't. I'll probably finish these when I finish them. But I'm kind of thinking today that maybe I'll wait. That's not likely though. Let's be serious. I'll just finish it when I finish it and play Stash Dash if I feel like it and not finish again, because then I'll get distracted like halfway through and I'll be like, oh yeah, I was updating in that thread. Oops. Anyway, the second thing that I worked on, which has visual growth, here is one of the Steampunk Ray Socks. So these socks are a handful in a good way. It's just I'm only doing two rows of this a day because it's for me and I don't really need it to be done. And this is my second quarter sock, which means I have all the way until the end of June to finish them. And yeah, I know it's almost the end of April and I'm just barely started the leg, but it's not a really, really long leg. I'm about a third of the way through the pattern repeat, and I think it just calls for 1 pattern repeat on the leg. They're not super tall socks because they're very, some of it's cables, some of it's twisted stitches. There are no regular knit stitches except down in the cuff. Everything in the leg is twisted stitch or purling, which means, because this is worked flat, that there is, when you go back the other way, they are regular knit stitches on the backs of those purls, but the backs of the twisted stitches are twisted purl stitches. So, you know, it's a little trade-off. And I don't think that I want more than 2 rows of that in my day right now. I think once it goes in the round, it will be less, just less. Because first of all, when it goes into the round, half of the stitches will be stuck in it, probably. I don't know. I didn't look at the pattern yet. But I imagine since it's a sock and it'll be on the bottom of the foot, that those will be stuck in it. And then there will be no twisted purling, which is, I don't know why twisted purling is more complex than twisted knitting, because it's not really. Like, it doesn't take me any longer to twist a purl than to twist a knit. It just, mental block. I have a mental block on it. So anyway, that's I don't even remember why I was telling you that, but did I tell you who this is by? It's by Heather Lee Walker, and it's the Steampunk Ray Socks. Instead, I put on the buttons, so I have half of the buttons on the socks now, because there are 6 buttons per sock, And I'll actually be putting on another set of buttons today because I will be adding on another buttonhole today. And that way I just don't have to figure out where the proper placement is for the buttons later. Buttons are already there. It only takes a couple minutes to put both buttons on. So I may as well do it as I'm going. That way I don't have to worry about it later. And I think the buttons look good with this yarn. I think I made a good choice for not having the yarn with me. And the yarn is 716 knit, 716 sock in the colorway Hell Hath No Fury, like a woman scorned for Sega. And all of my socks, they are knit on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. I also worked on the tube socks, and I didn't put a progress marker in this one, so I don't know how far I was. But I think that I was at the beginning of this ribbing section right here. I just started the second ribbing section. Well, I finished that, and I am on the next ribbing section, which might be my last ribbing section before I do the cuff, because I only have this much yarn left. That's not a lot. I don't know how much it is exactly, but it's not a ton of yarn. It was only a 50-gram ball of the Plymouth yarn Happy Feet because they come in 50-gram hanks. So that's all I had for the sock. They're not super short though. I mean, this is from my hand to my finger is where I would put that. This area is where I would put in a heel for me. So then, you know, if I put in an afterthought heel, this would be leg. So it's like a normal size sock for me, and the person who I'm giving this to has substantially smaller feet than I do. So they'll be decent sized tube socks when they're done. I'm going to finish up whatever I can in this. I'm only going to do 40 rounds of this pattern of ribbing. So if I get through those 40 rounds and still have some of this left, I'll go into the next segment of ribbing and just go until the yarn runs out. And if I don't make it that far, then I will switch to the brown and go to 2x2 ribbing all the way around until, I don't know if I'm going to go until the brown runs out or until it's the same length as the toe. I haven't decided yet. We'll see when I get there. I think I have enough to make it as long as the toe. I don't know if I'll be able to make it longer. I don't know. I don't remember how much brown I have. Whatever. Anyway, these socks are getting worked on. And you should be so proud of me because I am so proud of me. I remember when I was really sick for like a month. Well, that whole month, I obviously didn't work out. And then the month following that, I was still recovering and like super weak and not able to work out at all. Well, this week, I went on my elliptical 3 times for the entire, I don't know, 37 minutes or whatever my playlist is, and didn't stop on the elliptical, just went and didn't push too hard. Did push a little bit, but not too hard. And then I did other strength training stuff. So, but this was elliptical knitting, which is why I got so much progress. Yeah, that I'm so proud of me for doing that because I'm lazy. I'm kind of lazy. I would just rather sit around and craft all day. But I also like to be able to keep up with my kids when we go to the park. And I didn't have a problem with that when we went to the zoo. Like I ran around with my kids at the park, yeah, at the zoo, and that was fine. But I need to, and I didn't feel especially tired, but I just want to make sure that I don't get especially tired. I don't know. It's like preventative maintenance. Weird tangent, whatever. Today's going to be that way. I also started a pair of socks because obviously I finished a pair. I needed to start a new pair. Never mind that I had 3 on the needles. And it's not completely my fault. I did ask Instagram if I should be good and just work on my 3 works of progress, or if I should throw caution to the wind. And they said throw it to the wind. So I cast on, but barely started a new pair of socks. This will be the House Targaryen socks by Christine Pike, and the yarn is Marigold Jen, the Yoshi colorway, and these are socks for Haley. So I have the cuff and I have one pattern repeat on the leg, but now I'm going to go into the heels because she likes short socks for the most part. So I'm about to make the heel, and then it should be really zoom zoom. And even though it has every 5th round or 6th round, I can't remember, it's a free pattern on Ravelry. Every so many rounds is a pattern round, and then the rest of it is just in the ribbing pattern. Even though it has that pattern round, it's not super complicated, so I can still do it at work and not really worry about it. I do kind of wish that I had a DPN cozy because I don't. And I went to knitting yesterday, and when I pulled this pattern out of my project bag, my DPNs had fallen out, so I had to refigure that out. It wasn't a big deal, but I was like, oh, if I had a needle cozy, this would not be a problem. But I don't, so I'll just make do. And yeah, I really, really love this color. Let's show you the spiral on the other side too, because the yarn is spiraling in dark and light pools of beautiful blues and greens. And it's kind of like a mixture of Haley's soul color and my soul color. It's so pretty. What else? I worked on the cross stitch. I don't know if you'll be able to see any progress because I think I was finished with the pink last week, but maybe not. So this balloon is finished. And I have this quadrant completely finished. So this right here is completely finished. This just has a little bit of filling in the arm, and then that'll be finished. And then it's just filling in this blue down here, filling in the white in the cloud. And I think I only need about one more strand to cross the gray because I only have this right here to cross, and then the gray is finished. So it's moving along. I will be switching back and forth. Well, I'll be working the 3 colors in rotation, but then once I run out of the gray, I will be switching back and forth between colors. And I don't know if they're going to take equal amounts of time to fill in, because it looks like I'm going to need more white strands than blue strands just by looking, but I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know. I'm not very good at judging cross stitch. I don't do it very frequently. I used to, but I haven't in a long time. So I don't think that will be a thing to worry about this week, but next week, if I get down to only one color, I might start a new cross stitch and then switch them back and forth so I don't just hate filling in the white cloud, because I feel like that'll be the color that'll be left over. But yeah, anyway, this is the Care Bear cross stitch, and it is coming along. It's almost finished. It's getting there. So cute. Mara loves it too. She's like, what's the Care Bear doing? Getting ready to sleep. Oh, why is he sad? Because he's not finished yet, Mara. Oh, okay. My other 2 active works in progress were not very active this week. I did spin on the painted tiger, but not, maybe a ton. I don't know. I guess I did wind off the fiber before last week's podcast, so I only had a little bit of fiber on here. So I guess that's a significant amount of progress. But again, I didn't spin on it for, I don't know, 3 days or something. And then for plying, I have that much left of this ply ball, and then I will be adding on what I wound off last week. So I guess I made okay progress, but again, I didn't work on it for 3 days or something. And then the market bag, I don't think I worked on that at all. I don't think so. Maybe a few stitches, not enough to show you. I don't think I finished a round or anything spectacular like that. I finished Barn Raising Square number 69, which is 2 colors of Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper base striped together. One is Royalty and the other is Darkest Hour. These were used for the Galaxy mittens, so I decided to stripe them. I've also used the gray to make the tri-tine hat, and I used the purple to make Mara's tube socks for Christmas. And then I'll be using the purple and maybe the gray in my Christmas socks too. We shall see. Don't know yet if I'll be using the gray. Definitely the purple. Oh, and did I use this purple in Gabriel's Christmas socks? I think I did. I think I did a round or so in purple. I don't remember. Maybe I'm making that up, but it may have been in there. Anyway, square number 69. I did square number 26 of my mitered square. So I've started the next quadrant of this center square for the blanket. Maybe I'll sketch that out for you, my idea. Maybe next week we'll see. No promises. But yeah, square number 26. And this was yarn from, it's actually 2 mini skeins from the ZK. I don't know which ZK year, but I had 2 mini skeins and they were not, neither was big enough to do a square on its own. So I started with the one that I liked more. This one's still pretty, this purple and blue, but I really liked this one. So I started with this one and went until I ran out of yarn and then added in this other purpley greeny one. And I don't think that it looks too ridiculous together. I think like if you didn't know that they were 2 different yarns, it could possibly be just a color changing sort of thing. I did not finish any hexapuffs. I have 7 on the needles and they're on the decrease sides, so they're closer to finished than not, but they don't count towards the count because they're not finished. Again, I was not in my craft room and they sit on my desk because that just makes it super easy to work on. Yeah, so hopefully I'll finish those this week and finish another 7 also. We'll see though. I don't know. I don't know if that's likely. Reading, I finished Winter and it was very, very good. I highly recommend the Lunar Chronicles series. There are 5 books. There are 4 main books in the story and then a 5th book, which is kind of a prequel. It basically just gives backstory for the big bad in the series. And I really, really enjoyed it, but you could read the other 4, the main 4, without reading that one, and it would still, the series would still be good. I always enjoy reading side stories that have backstory of other characters though. I just really, like, if it's a series I enjoy, I really like being able to immerse myself from different angles. Winter is written from different perspectives of characters, so if you're the sort of person who only likes books written from one character's perspective, the series might not be for you. But I would still try giving it a chance. It starts with Cinder. Pick it up. It's really, really good. Even people who don't like that kind of book like Cinder. And I like all of it. What is that noise? I can't tell if that's my daughter or my cat. Can you hear it? It could be either. It's hard to tell. I started Life and Death, which is by Stephanie Meyer, and it is the 10th anniversary thing for Twilight. And what it is she rewrote Twilight, but gender swapped the characters. And I've already talked about how I really enjoy that sort of thing, where it's the same story but from someone else's perspective. Or, I mean, it's basically the same story from the same perspective but told through a new lens, which I really, really enjoy. The main characters are Beau and Edith instead of Bella and Edward. And it's really good. If you like Twilight, if you read Twilight and you hate Twilight, don't read Life and Death. But if you watched the movies and you hated the movies, I would still read Life and Death and Twilight, because the first movie is awful. There are some points in that movie that I really, really like. I think there are some scenes that are particularly well done. But there's a lot of that movie that I personally find to be crap. And I really like the book. So I don't know. I think that certain things were poorly translated. And some directing choices were not very great. And some casting choices were not very great. But whatever. People feel very strongly about that franchise. I personally like the books. I think it has a lot of interesting things to say about our culture and about religion and all sorts of things that are deeper than just a love story and vampires and werewolves. Although there is that too. Can I go off on a little more of a tangent? I'm going to. So also people are like, oh, first love is not like that, blah, blah, blah. Who are these people who did not, when they had their first love, feel so crazy and so like, so torn about how to deal with it and who are these people who are not overwhelmed by that feeling? Because I was totally overwhelmed when that happened. It was like so crazy. I know because I have a box of journals that I can go back and read because I was a very big journaler in high school. And I can read all that crazy. And it is not that different from the crazy that goes on in these books. So maybe it's just me. I don't know. But I identify with the books. So maybe that's why I'm not like, oh, that would never happen. Because that totally happened in my life, except not a vampire. Whatever. Still the obsession and the crazy and the, yeah, all that. And the last thing pertaining to books is I am still listening to Blood Rights. I am still enjoying it. And I think I'm a little more than halfway through it. So I should be finishing that soonish. That's all I have for you this week. I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string. I will see you next week when the Small Things Knit Along will have started. And I'll talk to you then. Bye!